The rain-slicked streets of Portland, Oregon, gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as Ivy Harper clutched the envelope in her trembling hand, the words inside slicing deeper than any knife ever could. "You're my sister, Ivy, but this day is about tradition, about what our family stands for. Please understand," her older sister Elena had written, the ink bleeding slightly from a tear that wasn't hers. In that single moment, as thunder cracked overhead like the fracture in her heart, Ivy realized love's cruelest betrayal wasn't from strangers, but from the blood that was supposed to bind you forever. She crumpled the letter and hurled it into the storm drain, watching it vanish into the churning water below. 27 years of shared secrets, late-night whispers under childhood blankets, and promises of unbreakable sisterhood, gone. Erased because Ivy dared to love a woman with the same fire Elena chased in her perfect, straight-laced fiancé. But as the downpour soaked her through, washing away the last of her illusions, Ivy felt a spark ignite. She wouldn't hide. Not anymore. Not even for a wedding that promised to be the family's crowning glory. The next morning, Ivy woke to the scent of fresh coffee brewing in her tiny apartment overlooking the Willamette River, the city's bridges arching like veins of steel against the gray dawn. Her girlfriend, Lena, stirred beside her, her dark curls splayed across the pillow like a halo of midnight silk. Lena Vasquez, 30, with sun-kissed skin from her Mexican-American roots and eyes that held the warmth of desert sunsets, reached out instinctively, her fingers tracing the curve of Ivy's jaw. "Mi amor, you look like you wrestled ghosts all night," Lena murmured, her voice a soft rumble laced with concern. Ivy forced a smile, but it cracked at the edges. She handed Lena the phone, the email from Elena glaring back, formal, detached, confirming the exclusion with a politeness that stung worse than outright cruelty. "She doesn't want me there. Says it'll complicate things with the Groom'S conservative family. As if I'm a complication. As if loving you makes me less of a sister." Lena sat up, her tank top slipping off one shoulder, revealing the tattoo of intertwined vines that mirrored the one on Ivy's wrist, a quiet vow they'd etched during a spontaneous road trip through the redwoods last summer. She pulled Ivy close, their bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth by time. "Then we make our own celebration. Screw their traditions. You're not a guest. You're the goddamn heart of this family, Ivy. And if Elena can't see that, she's the one who's lost." But Ivy's heart twisted with a deeper ache. Elena wasn't just her sister. She was her anchor, the one who'd bandaged her scraped knees after falls from backyard swings, who defended her from neighborhood bullies when Ivy's tomboy streak drew sneers. Growing up in their modest craftsman home in suburban Portland, with their parents' endless shifts at the hospital leaving the girls to raise each other, Elena had been both mother and confidant. When Ivy came out at 18, fumbling through tears in their shared bedroom, Elena had hugged her tight, whispering, "I love you no matter what. We're in this together." That promise had carried Ivy through college heartbreaks, through the sting of disapproving aunts at family gatherings. Until now. "I have to go," Ivy said finally, her voice stealing with resolve. "Not for her sake, but for mine. If she wants to pretend I'm invisible, fine. But I'll be there, head held high, with you on my arm. Let them choke on their hypocrisy." Lena's laugh was low and fierce, a sound that always grounded Ivy like roots in fertile soil. "That's my girl. And if anyone so much as side-eyes us, I'll remind them that love isn't a guest list. It's the pulse that keeps the whole damn party alive." The weeks blurred into a frenzy of preparations that Ivy observed from the sidelines, her phone buzzing with group chat exclusions and passive-aggressive updates from cousins. Elena's wedding was set for a sprawling vineyard estate in the Willamette Valley, a picture-perfect affair with fairy lights strung through ancient oaks and tables groaning under farm-to-table feasts. The groom, Marcus Hale, came from old Portland money. His family owned half the tech startups dotting the Silicon Forest, their names synonymous with quiet philanthropy and even quieter conservatism. Whispers among the relatives painted the Hales as the ideal in-laws, church-going, golf-playing pillars who value discretion above all. Ivy threw herself into work at the local LGBTQ youth center, where she counseled teens navigating their own coming-out storms, her days filled with stories that echoed her pain, but ended in fragile triumphs. One afternoon, as she helped a shy 16-year-old named Riley draft a letter to her parents, the parallels hit like a gut punch. "What if they never accept me?" Riley had whispered, eyes wide with fear. Ivy had knelt to her level, squeezing her hand. "They might not at first, but real family? They fight through the fear. And if they don't, you build one that does." The words were for Riley, but they anchored Ivy too, a mantra against the growing dread of the wedding day. That evening, as she and Lena strolled hand in hand through Washington Park, the city's rose gardens blooming defiantly against the autumn chill, Ivy confessed her turmoil. The air was crisp, scented with damp earth and fading petals, and Lena stopped beneath a canopy of crimson leaves, turning Ivy to face her. "You know, when I first met you at that Pride rally 2 years ago, you in your ripped jeans, shouting chants like you were born to lead a revolution, I thought, this woman's fire is going to burn me alive. And it has, Ivy. In the best way. But fire doesn't hide. It demands to be seen." Ivy's throat tightened, tears pricking her eyes. She remembered that day vividly. The rainbow flags whipping in the wind, the crowd's roar drowning out counter-protesters, and Lena, a volunteer medic, patching a scrape on Ivy's knee with steady hands and a smirk that said she saw right through the bravado. Their first kiss had been under a confetti shower of torn flyers, tasting of salt and rebellion. "I love you," Ivy whispered now, pulling Lena closer, their foreheads touching. "But this wedding, it's like they're erasing me to fit their perfect picture." Lena's fingers wove through Ivy's hair, tugging gently. "Then we crashed the frame. Show them the real masterpiece." As the date approached, Ivy's resolve wavered under a barrage of subtle sabotages. The save-the-date card that mysteriously omitted her name, the floral consultations where Elena forgot to loop her in on preferences. Their mother, ever the peacemaker, called one rainy Tuesday, her voice thin with exhaustion from double shifts. "Ivy, honey, Elena's just stressed. The Hales are particular. Give her space." "Space," Ivy echoed, pacing her kitchen, the phone pressed hard against her ear. "Mom, she told me not to come. Because I'm gay. Because loving Lena makes me a threat to her big day." A long pause, then a sigh heavy as the Columbia River fog. "I know, sweetheart. It breaks my heart too. But Marcus's family, they're from a different world. Old Portland, you know? We wouldn't want to rock the boat." Ivy's grip tightened on the counter, knuckles whitening. "Rock the boat? Mom, that's what families do. They weather the storms together. Or have we forgotten that?" The call ended in awkward goodbyes, leaving Ivy staring at her reflection in the window, the city lights blurring through unshed tears. She texted Lena a single emoji, a broken heart mended with a rainbow thread. Lena's reply came instant. "On my way. Wine and wrath incoming." They spent the night tangled in sheets, Lena's stories of her own family's slow acceptance, her abuela's initial rosary-clutching prayers evolving into quiet pride at pride parades, easing the raw edges of Ivy's hurt. In the quiet hours before dawn, as Lena slept, Ivy traced the scars on her lover's back from a childhood accident, marveling at how love could mend what biology broke. Yet doubt gnawed. Could Elena be salvaged, or was this the final rift? The rehearsal dinner loomed like a storm cloud, but Ivy refused the half-hearted invite, choosing instead a quiet evening with Lena at a hole-in-the-wall talk area where mariachi music thrummed through the walls and laughter flowed freer than tequila. "To hell with them," Lena toasted, clinking her glass against Ivy's. "Tomorrow we show up as we are. Uninvited, unbreakable." Ivy nodded, but her mind raced ahead to the vineyard, envisioning Elena's radiant smile faltering at the sight of them, the Hales' judgmental stares. Little did she know, the truth waiting in the wings would shatter more than assumptions. It would redefine family itself. The wedding day dawned with a deceptive clarity, the Willamette Valley bathed in golden light that turned the vineyard's rolling hills into a tapestry of emerald and amber. Ivy stood before her mirror, adjusting the strap of her emerald green dress, the color of hope, Lena had insisted, its fabric whispering against her skin like a lover's promise. At 27, Ivy saw a woman forged in quiet battles, sharp cheekbones softened by laughter lines yet to deepen, auburn waves tamed into loose curls that framed eyes holding both storm and serenity. Beside her, Lena slipped into a tailored black suit, her curves accentuated just so, a silver cufflink glinting like a secret shared. "You ready to steal the show?" Lena asked, her reflection smirking over Ivy's shoulder. Ivy met her gaze, drawing strength from the love mirrored there. "For you? For us? Always." They drove in companionable silence, the Mustang's engine purring like a contented cat, windows down to let the crisp air carry scents of fermenting grapes and wildflowers. The estate unfolded before them. Wrought iron gates flung wide, valets in crisp uniforms directing luxury cars, guests in pastel finery milling like butterflies around champagne flutes. Ivy's pulse thundered as they parked, hand in hand stepping onto the gravel path lined with lanterns that would ignite at dusk. Heads turned immediately, cousins' whispers slicing the air, aunts' brows furrowing in practiced disapproval. Elena, radiant in ivory lace at the altar's edge, caught sight of them and froze, her bouquet trembling. Marcus, tall and broad-shouldered in his tux, placed a steadying hand on her waist, his smile polite but his eyes curious? Ivy couldn't place it, the knot in her stomach tightening as Elena broke away, hurrying toward them with a face pale as the lilies pinned to her veil. "Ivy, what are you doing here?" Elena hissed, voice low but laced with panic, glancing over her shoulder at the gathering crowd. Up close, her beauty was ethereal, 32, with the same auburn hair twisted into an elegant updo, blue eyes wide with a mix of fury and fear. But beneath the makeup, Ivy saw the girl who'd once shared ice cream cones on hot summer nights, now armored in societal expectations. "I got your letter," Ivy replied evenly, squeezing Lena's hand for anchor. "But blood doesn't RSVP, Elena. Neither does love." Elena's gaze flicked to Lena, then back, her lips pressing into a thin line. "This isn't the time. The Hales, Marcus's parents, they're here and there. Traditional. If they see you too, it could ruin everything. Please just go." The words landed like blows, but Ivy held her ground, chin lifting. Ruin? Or reveal? Maybe it's time someone in this family stands for truth instead of tiptoeing around shadows. Before Elena could retort, a voice cut through the tension, deep, resonant, belonging to an older man with salt and pepper hair and a posture that spoke of boardrooms conquered. Theodore Hale, Marcus's father, approached with his wife Evelyn on his arm, her silver hair coiled like a crown, both exuding the effortless grace of old money. "Elena, dear, is there a problem?" Theodore asked, his tone mild but eyes sharp, taking in the scene with unnerving calm. Elena flushed, stammering, "No, Father Hale, it's just family matters. Ivy's my sister. She wasn't planning to join us." Evelyn interjected smoothly, her smile warm as sun on slate. She extended a hand to Ivy, her grip firm. "We've been looking forward to meeting you properly. Marcus speaks so highly of the Harper women." Ivy blinked, exchanging a bewildered glance with Lena. Marcus, lingering nearby, nodded subtly, a flicker of something gratitude in his eyes. The officiant called for positions, and Elena, torn, retreated with a final pleading look. As the ceremony began, Ivy and Lena found seats in the back, the air thick with string quartet strains and the murmur of vows exchanged under a floral arch. But as the I do's echoed, Theodore leaned toward Ivy, his voice a confidential murmur. "Traditions are fragile things, Miss Harper. They shatter easiest when guarded too fiercely." Evelyn nodded, her hand on his knee, a gesture so tender it spoke volumes. The reception unfolded in a blur of toasts and dances, the vineyard's great hall aglow with chandeliers casting prisms on crystal glasses. Ivy and Lena hovered on the periphery, plates of herb-crusted salmon untouched, until Marcus approached, Elena trailing reluctantly behind. "Dance with me?" he asked Ivy, extending a hand with boyish charm that belied his 34 years. She hesitated, then accepted, Lena watching with a raised brow and a wink. On the floor, amid swirling couples, Marcus guided her with surprising lightness. "I owe you an apology," he said softly, over the swell of the band's jazz rendition. "Or rather, my family does. Elena confided in me about the letter. I pushed her to send it, not because I agree, but because I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" Ivy asked, searching his face, handsome, earnest, with laugh lines that hinted at hidden depths. He exhaled, spinning her gently. "Of this." He tapped his chest, then glanced at Elena, who stood rigid by the bar. "My brother, my younger brother, Theo Jr., he came out last year."
"Gay."
"The family." We rallied around him, but not without cost. Whispers in our circles, investors pulling back. Elena knew, and she thought keeping you away would protect our image. But I couldn't let her walk down that aisle carrying that lie. Ivy's steps faltered, the music fading to a distant hum. "Your brother. And you let her exclude me to save face." Marcus stopped, holding her at arm's length, his expression raw.
"No."
"I let it happen because I was waiting for today, for the truth to speak louder than fear." He nodded toward the head table, where Theodore rose, tapping his glass with a spoon. The room hushed as the elder Hale cleared his throat, his presence commanding silence. "Friends, family, as we celebrate Marcus and Elena's union, I want to share a story that's long overdue." His voice carried, steady as oak. 20 years ago, my wife Evelyn and I faced a choice: cling to what society deemed proper, or embrace the love that defined us. You see, Evelyn and I, we weren't always as we appear. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but Theodore pressed on, Evelyn's hand clasped in his, her eyes shining. Before Evelyn, there was Sarah, a woman who held my heart in ways no man ever could. We loved fiercely, in secret, until life pulled us apart. I married Evelyn knowing our bond was born of understanding that love defies labels. And when our son Theo came out, it wasn't a shock, it was a homecoming. The room spun for Ivy, pieces clicking into place, the tender glances, the quiet advocacy Marcus hinted at in passing conversations. Elena's face crumpled, realization dawning as she clutched Marcus's arm. Theodore continued, his gaze finding Ivy's across the floor. "Today, we honor not just this marriage, but all loves that dare to bloom. Ivy Harper, your presence, your truth, is the greatest gift you could give this family. Because in hiding we dim, in standing we illuminate." Applause erupted, tentative at first, then thunderous, as Evelyn crossed the floor, enveloping Ivy in an embrace that smelled of lavender and resolve. "Welcome, dear. We've waited to call you kin." Tears streamed down Ivy's cheeks as Lena joined them, the four weaving into a circle amid the cheers. Elena broke through last, her makeup streaking, voice breaking.
"Ivy, I'm so sorry."
"I was scared of losing them, of losing us. But you were right. Blood doesn't RSVP. It rebuilds." They collapsed into each other, sisters reunited in the chaos of confetti and cake, the weight of years lifting like fog burned away by truth. As the night deepened, Ivy and Lena slipped onto the terrace, stars pricking the velvet sky, the valley humming with cricket song. "See," Lena whispered, her lips brushing Ivy's temple. "Love doesn't just heal, it rewrites the story." Ivy smiled, truly for the first time that day, pulling Lena into a kiss that tasted of forgiveness and forever. In the distance, laughter spilled from the hall, a symphony of mended hearts. And in that moment, Ivy knew, Family wasn't forged in silence, but in the courageous echo of truths finally spoken. The morning after the wedding, sunlight filtered through the lace curtains of the Hale family guest house, casting delicate patterns on the hardwood floors like whispers of the night before. Ivy stirred awake to the sound of Lena humming in the shower, a melody from their first date, a cheesy cover of At Last that had made them both dissolve into giggles. She stretched, her body aching pleasantly from hours of dancing, from the emotional somersaults that had left her raw but renewed. The envelope from Elena lay on the nightstand, uncrumpled now, its words reframed by the revelations of the evening. A soft knock pulled her from reverie. Evelyn Hale peeked in, tray in hand, coffee steaming in porcelain mugs, croissants flaky and golden, fresh berries glistening like jewels. "Thought you might need fortification after last night," she said with a wink, her silk robe tied loosely, revealing the effortless elegance of a woman who'd navigated life's tempests with grace. Ivy sat up, pulling the sheet around her. "Evelyn, you don't have to." "Nonsense. After Theodore's speech, I suspect we'll all be needing a bit of mothering." She set the tray down, perching on the bed's edge, her eyes, sharp blue, like Elena's, studying Ivy with a warmth that disarmed. "You remind me of Sarah, you know. That same quiet fire, the kind that simmers until it blazes." The name hung between them, a bridge to untold stories. Ivy sipped the coffee, bold, with a hint of vanilla, and found herself leaning in. "Tell me about her. About you." Evelyn's smile turned wistful, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "Sarah was a painter, wild-haired and fearless, studying at Reed College back in the 70s when Portland was a haven for dreamers dodging the draft. We met in a coffee house off Burnside, her easel blocking the door, covered in abstracts that screamed of passion untamed. I was pre-law, buttoned up, pretending to be the good daughter of shipyard heirs." One look at her, and I unraveled. As Evelyn spoke, the room faded, Ivy transported to a Portland of bell-bottoms and folk songs, where women loved in shadowed alleys and whispered cafes, the world outside a minefield of judgment. We'd sneak away to the coast, Cannon Beach at midnight, building bonfires from driftwood while the waves roared our secrets away. She taught me that love isn't possession, it's release, letting someone see your soul without fear of shattering. But it ended? Ivy ventured, sensing the ache beneath the memory. Evelyn nodded, eyes distant. She left for New York, chasing galleries and a life bigger than hiding. I stayed, married Theodore because, well, he knew. About Sarah, about me. Our marriage was a pact of survivors, love in its many forms, without the chains. When Theo came out, it was like Sarah's ghost smiling back, saying we'd done right by the lessons. Ivy's throat tightened, the parallels to her own journey with Lena, a love born in pride marches and quiet nights, mirroring this elder's tale. "Thank you for sharing that. It makes last night mean more." Evelyn squeezed her hand. It was time. "And now, young Harper, go claim your day. The vineyard's yours until checkout." Lena emerged then, towel-turbaned and grinning, accepting a croissant with theatrical moans of delight. They ate in companionable chatter, Evelyn regaling them with tales of Marcus's boyhood pranks, stealing golf carts at the country club, much to Theodore's feigned horror. Laughter bubbled, easing the last remnants of tension, until a text from Elena pinged. "Brunch? Family table. No exclusions this time.
Please."
Ivy showed Lena, who arched a brow. "Your call, Amor. But if she brings up traditions again, I'm invoking Abuela's curse." They arrived at the estate's sun-drenched patio to find the Harpers and Hales mingled in a tableau of reconciliation, their mother doting on Elena with mimosas, Theodore deep in conversation with Ivy's dad about fly-fishing spots on the Deschutes. Elena rose as they approached, her casual sundress a far cry from yesterday's gown, vulnerability etched in the shadows under her eyes. "Ivy," she started, voice thick, pulling her into a hug that lingered. "I don't even know where to begin. I was a coward. All those years promising we'd face anything together, and when it mattered, I shut you out. For what? A fairy tale that wasn't real. Ivy held her, inhaling the familiar scent of her Chanel No. 5, the perfume of their shared adolescence. It hurt, Elena.
Deep.
But seeing you last night, choosing truth over fear, that's the sister I remember. They sat, plates heaped with quiches and fruit salads, the conversation weaving through awkward silences into stories swapped like olive branches. Marcus shared about Theo Jr., now thriving as a graphic designer in Seattle, his coming-out barbecue a Hale family legend complete with rainbow Jell-O molds. He said to tell you, Marcus added to Ivy, that us queers gotta stick together, even if it means gate-crashing weddings. Laughter rippled, genuine now, as Lena recounted her own family's evolution, from her father's initial gruff silences to his proud waving of a tiny pride flag at last year's block party. Papa still calls it that glitter parade, she quipped, but he shows up. Every time. As the brunch wound down, Elena pulled Ivy aside, the vineyard's vines heavy with unripe clusters swaying in the breeze. I want to make this right. Not just words, action. Come live with us after the honeymoon? Marcus and I are buying that fixer-upper in the Pearl District. Room for you and Lena if you want. Sisters under one roof again. Ivy's heart swelled. The offer a balm to old wounds. I'd like that. But on one condition. No more hiding. We build this family open, flaws and all. Deal, Elena whispered, sealing it with a pinky swear, their childhood ritual. The drive back to Portland was lighter, Lena's hand on Ivy's thigh, radio crooning indie folk about mended fences. But as they merged onto I-5, Ivy's phone buzzed with a voicemail from Riley, the teen from the center. Ivy? I told my parents. They cried, but they hugged me after. Thank you for believing first. Tears pricked Ivy's eyes, and she played it for Lena, who squeezed her leg.
See?
Ripples, baby. You're changing tides. That evening, they wandered the Pearl District's cobblestone streets, gallery windows aglow with abstract art that evoked Evelyn's tales of Sarah. In a dimly lit bistro, over plates of paella that Lena declared almost as good as me mom's, Ivy proposed a toast. To truths spoken late, but never too late. And to us, the loves that make the speaking possible. Their kiss was slow, unhurried, the city's pulse thrumming around them like applause. Back home, as they tumbled into bed, limbs entwined, Ivy whispered against Lena's skin. What if we plan our own thing? Not a wedding, but
a vow.
Here, with the people who see us whole. Lena's eyes sparkled in the moonlight. Vines and violins? Count me in. Weeks turned to months, the sisters' bond knitting tighter with shared dinners and renovation weekends, Elena's laughter freer, her apologies woven into actions, volunteering at the youth center, pinning rainbow pins to her blazers at work. Ivy thrived, her counseling caseload blooming with stories of acceptance, each a victory lap for the wedding's watershed. One crisp November afternoon, as frost dusted the evergreens, Ivy and Lena gathered a small circle in Forest Park. Evelyn and Theodore, Elena and Marcus, Ivy's parents beaming with newfound pride, even Theo Jr. flown in with his partner, a lanky barista named Kai who charmed with latte art hearts. No officiant, no vows scripted, just words from the heart, exchanged under a canopy of Douglas firs, rings simple bands engraved with intertwined vines. I promise to love you fiercely, Lena said, her voice steady, through exclusions and revelations, building our world one truth at a time. Ivy, tears tracing warm paths, replied, and I you, my fire, my home. In every storm, you're my clear sky. The group erupted in cheers, hugs cascading like leaves in wind, a picnic of tamales and Pinot unfolding on checkered blankets. As dusk fell, painting the sky in bruised purples, Ivy leaned into Lena, watching fireflies dance, rare autumn harbingers. This, she murmured, is the family we deserved. And in the quiet certainty of that embrace, Ivy knew the real wedding had been the one where truths collided, forging not just unions, but unbreakable alliances of a heart. Spring unfurled across Portland like a long-held breath released, cherry blossoms carpeting the streets in pink confetti, mirroring the lightness that had settled over Ivy's life since the vows in the woods. The Pearl District brownstone Elena and Marcus had snapped up buzzed with life now, hammer echoes from ongoing renos blending with the sizzle of Lena's experimental fusion tacos in the kitchen. Ivy, perched on a sawhorse amid paint-splattered dropcloths, watched her sister direct traffic with the fervor of a general, her baby bump just beginning to show under a smock stained with sage green. "You're nesting like a pro," Ivy teased, handing over a roller dipped in creamy white for the nursery walls. At 33 now, Elena moved with a glow that softened her edges, the pregnancy a bridge between past fractures and future hopes, a girl, they'd learned, to be named Sage, after the herb that symbolized wisdom and new beginnings. Elena laughed, swiping a streak of paint across Ivy's cheek in retaliation. "Blame the hormones. Or Marcus. He's convinced every corner needs a zen vibe for the little one's aura." She paused, roller hovering, her expression turning serious.
Ivy.
"About Sage. I want her to grow up knowing you. Not as the aunt who crashed a wedding, but the one who taught us all how to stand tall." The words landed soft, mending another invisible scar. Ivy set down her brush, pulling Elena into a side hug, careful of the bump. "She'll know. And she'll know Lena too. The tia who'll spoil her rotten with stories of pride parades and midnight beach runs." From the doorway, Lena called out, "Stories? More like legends. Like the time Ivy here out-debated a heckler at the rally, left him stammering about traditional values while we all chanted for equality." Marcus chuckled from his perch on the ladder, taping trim with precision. "Sounds like my kind of chaos." Theo Jr. would approve. He's planning a visit next month, says Portland's queer scene is calling him home. The banter flowed easy, a rhythm honed by months of intentional togetherness. Game nights where Theodore regaled them with tales of 70s counterculture, Evelyn's cooking classes yielding disastrous but delicious palas, their parents' tentative steps into allyship blooming into full-throated support. Ivy's work at the center had expanded too, a new program for queer families, funded in part by a Hale Foundation grant, where parents like Elena learn to listen before lecturing. But beneath the harmony, ripples of challenge stirred. One evening, as rain pattered against the brownstone's bay windows, Ivy received a call from Riley, the teen whose voicemail had marked a turning point. Now 18, Riley's voice crackled with urgency over the line. "Ivy, it's bad. Mom and Dad. They found out about my girlfriend, and now they're talking conversion therapy. Like, actually booking sessions. I need help." Ivy's blood ran cold, the word conversion a venom she'd thought relegated to history books. She paced the living room, Lena's hand on her back a steadying force. "Where are you?" "Stay put. I'm coming now." They raced through slick streets to a modest bungalow in southeast Portland, where Riley waited on the porch, duffel at her feet, eyes red-rimmed but defiant. Her parents hovered in the doorway, faces etched with a mix of shame and desperation, the father's jaw set, the mother's hands twisting a dish towel. "We love her," the mother pleaded as Ivy approached, Lena flanking her like a shield. "But it's a phase. We can't let it ruin her life." Ivy knelt to Riley's level, her voice calm but unyielding. "Love doesn't mean, Mom. Hiding it does. Riley's not a phase. She's a person, brave enough to claim her truth. And if you choose fear over her, you'll lose the chance to walk beside it." The father stepped forward, voice gruff. "We've prayed on this. The church says." "The church says a lot," Lena interjected gently, her heritage lending her words a cultural bridge. "Mi familia said the same once. Rosaries for my confusion. But love won. Let it win here." Hours blurred in tense negotiation, tears shed over cooling coffee, pamphlets from the center spread on the kitchen table detailing the harms of conversion, suicide rates, lifelong trauma. Ivy shared her own story, the wedding's redemption, how exclusion had nearly severed her from Elena, only for truth to stitch them back. Dawn crept in as Riley's parents relented, tentative agreements to family counseling, no bookings made. As Ivy and Lena drove Riley to a safe house run by the center, the girl exhaled shakily. "You're like superheroes. But real ones." Ivy glanced in the rear view, smiling.
Nah.
"Just people who got lucky enough to love without apology. Your turn now." The incident lingered, fueling Ivy's fire. She channeled it into a viral op-ed for the local paper. From wedding crasher to family forger, why queer truths save us all, detailing the Hale's revelation without names, emphasizing how one family's courage could cascade. Responses flooded in, shares from queer icons, invitations to panels, even a hesitant email from Riley's mom. "Thank you. We're trying." Summer arrived with a heat wave that turned the Willamette into a shimmering ribbon, and with it, the Brownstones' housewarming, a potluck of eclectic loves. Theodore's smoked brisket rubbing elbows with Lena's pozole, Evelyn's lemon bars dusted with pride flag sprinkles. Theo Jr. and Kai arrived with a cake iced in rainbow swirls, their energy infectious as they led an impromptu dance-off in the backyard, string lights twinkling like captured stars. Amid the revelry, Ivy found Elena on the porch swing, hand on her belly, watching the chaos with a serene smile. "She's kicking," Elena said, guiding Ivy's palm to the spot, a flutter like butterfly wings. "Feels like she's already plotting her rebellion." Ivy laughed, the sensation wondrous. "With ants like us? Guaranteed." Elena's eyes misted. "Ivy, I need to say it again. That letter? It haunts me. But you've given me more than forgiveness. You've given Sage a legacy of love that bends, doesn't break." They sat in silence, the swing creaking softly, until Marcus joined, sliding beside Elena with a plate of treats. To Epic Sisters, he toasted with sparkling cider, and the brothers-in-law who know when to step back. As night deepened, Ivy and Lena slipped away to the rooftop, a blanket fort of pillows and the city's skyline as backdrop. Fireworks popped distant over the river, some festival's grand finale, and Lena nuzzled Ivy's neck. 6 months since our vows. Feels like yesterday. Or always, Ivy murmured, her fingers tracing Lena's tattoo. "What's next for us, mi vida?" Lena's grin was mischievous. "Adoption papers? Or that cabin in the Cascades we've been eyeing? Whatever it is, we write it together." In that suspended moment, with stars wheeling overhead and the flutter of Sage's future echoing in her mind, Ivy felt the story's arc complete. Not an end, but an invitation to endless chapters, where love's truths echoed louder than any silence ever could. Autumn leaves crunched underfoot as Ivy and Lena hiked the Eagle Creek Trail, the Columbia River Gorge a symphony of fiery maples and mist-shrouded basalt cliffs, a deliberate escape from the Brownstones' joyful clamor. Sage's impending arrival had amplified everything, Elena's nesting frenzy yielding to wide-eyed wonder, Marcus's doting evolving into late-night dad forums, their parents shuttling between hospitals and baby showers with grandparents to be zeal. But for Ivy, the season stirred a quieter introspection, the wedding's echoes mingling with new horizons. "Penny for your thoughts?" Lena asked, pausing at a viewpoint where the river roared below, her hiking boots scuffed from the climb, cheeks flushed with exertion and the crisp bite of October air. Ivy leaned on the railing, wind whipping her scarf. "Just remembering last fall. That rain-soaked letter, feeling like the world ended.
Now?
Sage kicks, Riley's off to college with her girlfriend. And we're here, whole." Lena wrapped arms around her from behind, chin on Ivy's shoulder. "Whole, but hungry for more. Spill. What's brewing in that brilliant head?" Ivy turned, meeting Lena's gaze, those eyes, deep as the gorge itself. "The center. We've outgrown the space. I want to expand outreach to rural Oregon, where kids like Riley hide longer. But funding, it's a mountain." Lena's smile was knowing. Then climb it.
Call Evelyn.
The Hales owe you a favor or 12. The seed took root that night, over takeout faux steaming on their coffee table, Ivy dialing Evelyn amid slurps of broth. Darling, Evelyn answered, voice rich with amusement. If this is about another speech, Theodore's saving his for the holidays. Ivy laughed, outlining the vision. Mobile units for small towns, virtual support for isolated youth, a fund for emergency housing. Evelyn listened then. Consider it seated. We'll match whatever you raise, discreetly, of course. Philanthropy's best when it lifts without fanfare. The call ended with plans for a joint gala, but Ivy hung up buzzing, Lena pulling her into a victory dance that devolved into kisses on the rug. You're unstoppable, Lena breathed, fingers unlacing Ivy's flannel. My revolutionary. Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, bodies mapping familiar territories with the urgency of pioneers, Lena's curves yielding under Ivy's touch, gasps mingling with the rain tapping windows. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Ivy traced Lena's spine. What if we freeze some? Start thinking kids. Not now, but soon. Lena propped on an elbow, surprise softening to delight. You serious? Because I've got names. Luna for a girl, Rio for a boy. And zero doubts about us as parents. The conversation flowed into dreams, co-parenting co-ops, pride-themed nurseries, teaching little ones to love without qualifiers. It was a balm against the world's sharper edges, a future painted in vibrant strokes. November brought Sage Harper Hale into the world with a cry that pierced the delivery room like dawn's first light, 7 pounds of wrinkled perfection with Elena's blue eyes and Marcus's stubborn chin. Ivy held her first, tiny fingers curling around hers, a bond instantaneous and profound. Hey, troublemaker, Ivy whispered, tears blurring the bundle. Auntie's got stories that'll make your mama blush. The hospital room overflowed with family, Theodore regaling nurses with grandfatherly quips, Evelyn cooing in Spanish learned from Lena's abuela, their parents snapping photos with unpracticed glee. Lena hovered, her hand in Ivy's back pocket, a quiet claim amid the chaos. That night, back at the brownstone, Ivy and Lena babysat while Elena rested, Sage swaddled in a bassinet that rocked with mechanical lullabies. As midnight tolled, the baby stirred, fussing until Ivy scooped her up, pacing the dim-lit living room with instinctive grace. Lena watched from the couch, mug of chamomile steaming. Look at you. Natural. Ivy rocked gently, humming a tune from their road trip playlist. Home by Edward Sharpe, all wanderlust and belonging. Sage quieted, latching onto Ivy's pinky with milky sighs. Feels right, Ivy admitted. Like she's ours in a way. Family's not blood, Lena agreed, rising to join them, her warmth enveloping both. It's choice. And we've chosen well. Winter wrapped Portland in a rare snow blanket, transforming the city into a hush of white-draped spires and icicle fringes. The center's expansion gala unfolded at the Hale family vineyard, same oaks, now strung with evergreens and twinkling LEDs, tables laden with mulled wine and gingerbread pride flags. Ivy emceed in a velvet gown the color of midnight, Lena at her side in a tux that turned heads, their vows rings catching light like promises renewed. Theodore's toast was legend. To Ivy, who crashed not just a wedding, but complacency, reminding us that love's truest form is the one that demands we evolve. Bids poured in, the rural outreach funded tenfold, whispers of national replication buzzing like champagne bubbles. Post-gala, as snow fell soft outside the brownstone, Ivy and Lena curled by the fire, Sage asleep upstairs after a visit that left Elena beaming. A letter arrived by courier, anonymous, but the script familiar, Evelyn's. Inside, a press leaf from Cannon Beach, yellowed with age, and a note, Sarah's sketchbook page, saved all these years. For the archive of loves that shaped us. Keep burning bright. The sketch was abstract, 2 figures entwined against waves, bold strokes of blue and gold. Ivy traced it, tears welling. Full circle. Lena kissed her temple. And the circle widens. Spring 2026 bloomed with change. Riley's college graduation invite, her speech on resilience a nod to Ivy's guidance. Theo Jr.'s gallery opening in Portland. Kai's barista gig at a queer cafe, anchoring them local. Ivy and Lena dove into fertility consults, the process a mix of hope and hurdles, hormones, appointments, the ache of waiting. One June evening, amid the brownstones' garden bloom, roses climbing trellises Elena had planted, Ivy knelt before Lena, not with a ring but a seedling pot, soil rich and dark. Plant this with me? Our first step toward roots of our own. Lena's yes was a sob laugh, dirt-smudged hands clasping, the act sacramental under the setting sun. As they patted earth, Sage toddled over, chubby fists offering a dandelion. Wow, she babbled, and in that chorus of growth, Ivy saw the truth's enduring bloom. Love, once silenced, now a garden where every soul could thrive. The summer of 2026 simmered with possibility, Portland's heat waves yielding to evenings of craft beer patios and waterfront concerts, where Ivy and Lena danced under string lights, hips swaying to indie anthems that pulsed like heartbeats. The brownstone had become a nexus, a queer commune of sorts, with Riley crashing weekends en route to her Portland State Psych program, Theo Jr. and Kai subletting the attic during his sabbatical. Sage, at 9 months, ruled the roost with gummy grins and relentless curiosity, her babble a soundtrack to renovations complete. Ivy's expansion project hit strides. The first mobile unit, a retrofitted van dubbed Truth Trailblazer, rolled out to Hood River, its rainbow wrap turning heads on Main Street. Ivy piloted the maiden voyage, Lena shotgun with snacks, pulling into a high school parking lot where a dozen teens awaited, nervous clusters clutching backpacks like shields. Welcome to Safe Space on Wheels, Ivy announced, unfolding chairs in the shade of Ponderosis, her voice carrying the authority of lived battles won. Story spilled, a trans kid's binder chafes, a by girls' family ultimatums, laughter mingling with tears as Lena facilitated art therapy, markers flying across posters of My Truth. One boy, Jamie, 16 with a buzz cut and braces, lingered after. My dad's like, choose straight or the door. But you make it seem possible. Ivy knelt, handing him a center card. It is. One step, one ally at a time. Start with this. Our hotlines 24/7. Driving back, gorge winds whipping through open windows, Lena squeezed Ivy's thigh. You're magic, you know that? Changing lives like it's breathing. Ivy's chest tightened, the compliment landing amid the day's highs.
We are. But tonight?
I need you. Just us. They detoured to Multnomah Falls, the cascade thundering like applause, hiking the short trail hand in hand until a secluded overlook where mist kissed their skin. There, against lichen-crusted rock, they made love fierce and unscripted, Lena's moans echoing with the water's roar, Ivy's hands claiming every curve as sacrament. It was reclamation, a reminder that amid the giving, they must refill their own wells. Fall brought the fertility news. Viable, they were told in a sterile clinic smelling of antiseptic hope. Injection started, calendars marked with ovals and crosses, the intimacy of it both tender and mechanical. Lena bore the brunt with humor. I'm basically a human pincushion now, but Ivy saw the shadows, the unspoken fear of what-ifs. Elena's second trimester coincided, sisterly check-ins turning confessional. Over herbal teas in the garden, Elena admitted the wedding's shadow. I dream about that letter sometimes. Wake up hating the woman I was. Ivy stirred honey into her mug, the steam curling like ghosts. You weren't hate, you were scared. And fear's a hell of a teacher. Look at us now, Sage pulling up on furniture, your belly full of brother or sister, our family a mosaic. Elena nodded, hand on the swell. It's a boy this time, River, for the Willamette that carried us through. The name sealed a pact, And when Ivy shared their IVF updates, Elena's hug was fierce. "Whatever comes, you've got us. All of us." Thanksgiving gathered them at the vineyard, tables groaning under turkey and tamales, Theodore's grace invoking gratitude for loves that endure. Snow flurried early, blanketing vines in hush, and as pie was served, Ivy slipped away with Lena to the old oak arch, site of Elena's vows, now strung with cranberry garlands. "Remember crashing this place?" Lena teased, pulling Ivy close, breaths mingling in cold air. "Best decision ever." Ivy's kiss deepened, hands roaming under wool coats, the risk of discovery adding spark. They broke apart laughing, cheeks flushed, returning to toasts with secrets warm in their veins. December's solstice brought the insemination, a quiet clinic morning, Lena's hand crushing Ivy's during the procedure, then home to bed rest and binge-watched rom-coms. 2 weeks later, the test, 2 pink lines, faint but fierce. They screamed, then sobbed, calling the family in a frenzy of FaceTimes and champagne toasts, sparkling cider for Lena.
Twins.
Elena gasped over video, Sage waving a rattle. "You're outnumbered now, Tia." The new year dawned with ultrasounds confirming boy-girl, heartbeats galloping like tiny drums. Ivy's body shifted. Nausea mornings, glow afternoons. Lena's care devotion of ginger alish and foot rubs. The center adapted too, Ivy delegating drives while brainstorming from a desk piled with onesies. One blustery March day, as daffodils pierced thawing soil, a package arrived. From New York, anonymous until Ivy opened it, a leather-bound sketchbook, pages filled with Sarah's hand, seascapes, lover silhouettes, notes scrawled in margins about love's wild geometry. A letter tucked inside, Evelyn's script. Theo found it in storage. "Sarah's legacy, passed to you. Draw your own chapters." Ivy spent evenings sketching, Lena's bumper model, curves amplified, eyes alight with impending motherhood. "Our story," Ivy murmured, charcoal smudging fingers, "from exclusion to this." April showers nourished the garden, Sage's first steps taken on the brownstone lawn, River's kicks sinking with the twins. Riley home for spring break, interned at the center, her confidence a beacon. The Hales hosted a bump bash, a gender-neutral reveal with cakes hiding blue and pink fillings, laughter echoing as confetti burst. Summer swelled bellies and dreams, Ivy's maternity leave a haze of nesting, cribs assembled with Marcus's help, lullaby playlists curated by Theo Jr. Labor came swift for Lena in August, the hospital a whirlwind of pushes and praises, Ivy coaching through contractions until cries pierced, first Mateo, dark-haired and squalling, then Sophia, her sister's echo in tiny fists. Holding them, slick and squirming, Ivy wept. "Our miracles." Fall's harvest moon lit the twins' homecoming, the brownstone alive with mobiles of vines and stars. Elena, with River newborn in arms, mirrored the scene. Sisters side by side, babes in laps, Lena dozing triumphant. "Full house," Elena whispered. "Full hearts," Ivy corrected. As leaves turned, Ivy penned a coda to her op-ed series. From one wedding's truth to a lifetime's legacy, sales funding scholarships, messages pouring of lives touched. In the quiet nights, twins nursing by moonlight, Lena's head on Ivy's shoulder, she knew. The greatest drama wasn't conflict, but the romance of becoming. Love's endless, human unfold. The twins' first winter was a tapestry of firsts. Mateo's gummy beam at snowflakes drifting past the window, Sophia's coos harmonizing with holiday carols filtering from the street. Portland blanketed in rare powder, the brownstone a cocoon of wool blankets and cinnamon-scented wreaths, Ivy navigating new mother rhythms with a mix of awe and exhaustion, nights fragmented by cries, days blurred in diaper dashes and stolen snuggles. Lena, ever the anchor, thrived in the chaos, her postpartum glow amplified by paternity leave from her nursing gig at a queer clinic. Team Vasquez Harper, she'd declare, juggling bottles while Ivy pumped, their laughter a lifeline against sleep-deprived fog. Family orbits tightened, Elena and Marcus rotating shifts with River, Sage now a tornado of 2-year-old energy, finger-painting murals on butcher paper that spanned walls. Evelyn's visits were gifts, trays of empanadas, stories of Sarah's winter escapes to the city, her voice weaving history into heirlooms. She'd sketched by the fire. Evelyn reminisced one eve, rocking Sophia as Mateo, not a teether. Said cold sharpened the soul's edges, made warmth sweeter. Ivy nodded, cradling Mateo, the parallel striking, her own edges honed by that wedding's chill, now softened by this hearth. Grateful for the sharpening. Spring thawed with the twins' baptism, not religious, but a backyard rite of their own. Water from the Willamette in crystal bowls, godparents Riley, now a counseling intern, and Theo Jr. vowing fierce protection. Laughter rang as splashes flew, Sage declaring it best pool party ever, River gurgling approval from Elena's hip. But growth tugged at old threads. Ivy's return to the center sparked a crisis. Budget shortfalls from state cuts to social services, the truth trailblazer idling for lack of gas. We're helping kids who have nothing, she vented to Lena one night, twins asleep, wine glasses half full. How do we fight when the system's the enemy? Lena's hand covered hers steady. Same way we always have. Louder, together. Rally the Hales, the community. Turn crisis to catalyst. The plan coalesced over coffee-fueled brainstorms, a truth tour concert series, local bands donating sets at parks, proceeds fueling the fleet. Marcus jumped in with logistics, Theodore with donor calls, Elena designing posters splashed in defiant color. Riley emceed the kickoff at Tom McCall Waterfront, her mic grip steady. From hidden hurts to heard voices, this is our stage. Crowds swelled, queer families picnicking, allies waving signs, teens like Jamie from Hood River sharing testimonies that gut-punched and galvanized. Ivy spoke last, Mateo in a carrier, Sophia on Lena's hip. We crashed a wedding once for truth. Now we crash complacency for them. Donations surged, vans revved back to roads. Summer's zenith brought a pilgrimage. Ivy, Lena, and the twins road-tripping the Oregon coast, echoing her and Lena's early days but amplified, car seats strapped, beach toys tumbling. At Cannon Beach, waves crashing eternal. Ivy spread Sarah's sketchbook pages, letting salt air kiss the art. To ancestors, she toasted with a thermos of cider, twins babbling at gulls. Lena's eyes misted. And, to us, carrying the torch. Fall equinox marked the twins' first birthday, a vineyard bash under harvest moon, piñatas bursting candy rainbows, cakes tiered with love multiplied. Sage led cake smash chaos, River observing with sage solemnity, the Hales toasting evolutions. Theodore pulled Ivy aside, arm around her shoulders. You're light, Ivy. It's the Hales spark we needed. Theo Jr. says you're his hero. Humbled, Ivy hugged him. Mutual, sir. Your truth started this chain. Winter deepened resolve. Ivy keynote a national conference in D.C., live stream to the center, her words. Love isn't invitation only. It's revolutionary. Trending, sparking chapters in Seattle, Boise. Back home, a scare, Mateo's fever spiking, tested metal, hospital vigils blending with Lena's songs, family piling in with soups and stories. He rallied, rosy-cheeked by Yule, the ordeal forging deeper bonds. Spring 2028 bloomed with expansions, a second van, scholarships named for Sarah. Elena announced a third, the family web ever-widening. Ivy and Lena, amid playground chases and bedtime tales, stole moments, date nights at that old taqueria, kisses tasting of tacos and timelessness. One lilac-scented eve, as twins slumbered and stars pricked twilight, Ivy penned in her journal, from a sister's silence to symphonies of souls, our love, the ultimate truth. Closing it, she joined Lena on the porch, hands entwining. Ready for the next chapter? With you? Always. And in Portland's gentle rain, they dreamed on, hearts full, horizons infinite. Years folded like accordions, 2030 dawning on a Portland evolved yet familiar, trams zipping past eco-towers, pride flags perennial on every corner, the Willamette a vein of progress. The brownstone stood sentinel, its walls echoing with the patter of 5 little feet now. Mateo and Sophia, rambunctious 4-year-olds with Lena's curls and Ivy's mischief. Sage, a bossy 6-year-old directing adventures. River, 3 and thoughtful, trailing with toy trucks. Elena and Marcus's third, a boy named Oak, rounded the crew at 1, the house a perpetual whirl of crayons and chaos. Ivy's center had metastasized into a network, truth webs spanning the Northwest, bands of fleet, virtual hubs linking rural isolates to urban allies. She helmed as director, Lena her COO, their partnership a model touted in TEDx talks, from personal pain to public power. Riley, fresh from her master's, ran the Hood River Outpost, her wedding to her college sweetheart a center fundraiser that packed the vineyard. Life's dramas ebbed and flowed. Mateo's preschool expulsion for sharing too many kisses, with a classmate sparking a joyful gender fluidity workshop. Sophia's nightmare phases soothed by Evelyn's tales of Sarah's brave dreams. The Hales aged gracefully, Theodore semi-retired, penning memoirs laced with queer history, Evelyn curating a gallery wing for LGBTQ+ artists, Sarah's sketches inaugural. One crisp September, as Goldenrod nodded along the Pearls alleys, Ivy received the call. Elena, voice quavering. "It's Mom." Stroke.
She's
"Asking for you." The hospital smelled of bleach and beeps, their mother frail in starched sheets, machines a mechanical chorus. Ivy took her hand, Lena hovering with the twins corralled by Elena outside. "Ivy girl," she whispered, eyes cloudy but sharp. "Proud of you. Of all this." Tears traced Ivy's cheeks. "We did it together, Mom. You and Dad. Your quiet pushes made the noise possible." A nod, weak but sure. "No more quiet. Love loud for me." She slipped away that night, peaceful, Dad holding vigil with Marcus. The funeral was a celebration. Rainbow wreaths on the casket, eulogies blending hospital anecdotes with pride anthems. Ivy spoke last. "She taught us family isn't perfection, it's presence." And she was present till the end. Grief wove through holidays, but so did gratitude. A memorial scholarship in her name, fundraisers swelling the center's coffers. Spring brought healing, a family retreat to the Cascades cabin they'd finally bought, log walls ringing with children's shrieks and adult toasts to absent lights. Summer's heat peaked with a milestone. The twins' kindergarten plunge, backpacks oversized, hands sweaty in Ivy's. "You'll crush it," she assured, kneeling. "Be kind, be brave, like the aunties who love you boundless." Lena wiped a rogue tear. "And call if you need backup. We're pros at crashing." Fall harvest yielded a new venture. Ivy's book deal, Crashed Vows, a memoir of love's uninvited truth, ghosting the wedding's arc into universal anthem. Signings packed indie bookstores, readers sharing stories that mirrored hers, exclusions mended, families reborn. One night, post-reading in Seattle, a woman approached. "Your words. They gave me courage to come out to my sister."
She hugged me.
"Thank you." Ivy's hug back was fierce. "No, thank you. Stories live when shared." Winter Solstice 2031 gathered them at the vineyard for a light renewal. Lanterns launched for lost loves. Mom, Sarah, unnamed others. As paper glowed skyward, Sage asked, "Why lights, Mama Elena?" "For truths that guide us home." Elena replied, oak on her hip. The twins, mesmerized, added their own. Scribbles of hearts and hands. Ivy and Lena exchanged glances, the rituals sealing their vows anew. Spring 2032 bloomed with expansion pains, the center eyeing national scale, Ivy testifying in D.C. for funding, Lena managing home front with au pair Kai, Theo Jr.'s widower, finding solace in routine. A scare, Sophia's asthma flaring, forcing Ivy's red-eye return, but unity prevailed, steroids and stories steadying breaths. Summer's zenith, a cross-country road trip, minivan stuffed with kids and coolers, tracing queer landmarks, Stonewall echoes in NYC, Black trans pioneers in Baltimore. Lessons layered. History's our map, Ivy told wide eyes, showing paths we pave wider. Fall's equinox marked Ivy's book tour crescendo, a homecoming gala at the Vineyard, proceeds launching Web of Welcomes host homes. Elena emceed, River reciting a poem on Sister Sparks, the crowd roaring. As leaves turned, Ivy and Lena escaped to the cabin alone, first time in years. Stars carpet overhead, fire crackling. Reflect. Lena asked, wine in hand. On miracles, Ivy said, head on her lap. From one hurt to this harvest. Their love that night was timeless, bodies knowing every scar and sigh. Dawn found them planning. Adoptions? Expansions? Whatever, together. Winter's hush brought closure. Dad remarrying a warm widow from his book club, the wedding small but joyful, vows under evergreens, Ivy walking him down, Elena maid of honor. Full circle, he toasted, eyes on grandkids. And in 2033's first snow, as twins built forts and babes toddled, Ivy whispered to Lena amid the fray. Our truth? It's the greatest story ever crashed. Lena's kiss agreed, eternal. Decades danced by in a blur of milestones and quiet graces, Portland's skyline etching taller against horizons widened by time. By 2045, the brownstone had passed to Sage and her partner, a non-binary artist named Jordan, its walls repainted in murals of intertwined histories, the next generation's canvas. Ivy and Lena, silver-threaded at 57, traded Urban Whirl for the Cascades cabin full-time, its expansion a haven, guest rooms for grandkids' visits, a studio where Ivy wrote, Lena gardened herbs for her apothecary blends. The Truth Webs spanned continents now, affiliates in Toronto, Bogota, thanks to Lena's global nursing conferences, weaving advocacy. Ivy's memoir spawned sequels. Echoes of Equity, Roots of Rebellion, each a beacon, her keynotes drawing elders sharing, I was you once, hiding till I didn't. Family fractalized beautifully. Mateo, 20, a queer activist in San Francisco, his boyfriend a coder with kind eyes. Sophia, studying marine bio in Hawaii, dating a suffer poet. Sage's twins, boisterous 8-year-olds echoing their mother's fire. River's quiet engineering bent yielding eco-innovations. Oak's theater dreams lighting stages. Elena and Marcus, grandparents thrice over, wintered in Arizona but summered at the Vineyard, their love a steady keel. Evelyn passed gently in 2040, surrounded by sketches and stories, her service a gallery unveiling. Evelyn's Embrace, works by queer women worldwide. Theodore followed 2 years on, memoir published posthumously, Hidden Harbors, A Life in Layers, topping charts, his forward Ivies. Truth isn't endpoint, it's the voyage. Weddings wove the web, Mateo's in Golden Gate Park, Ivy officiating with tears and toasts, Sophia's beach right in Oahu, Lena's vows remixed drawing laughs. Each echoed the original, uninvited truths becoming honored traditions. One autumn 2050, as leaves gilded the cabin's eaves, the family converged for a legacy lodge, a reunion of 50 souls, laughter cascading like the creek nearby. Grandkids chased fireflies, elders swapped yarns by the hearth. Elena, gray and grinning, pulled Ivy aside at dusk. That letter feels like another life. Ivy hugged her, bones fragile but bond iron.
It was.
And this? The redemption arc we earned. Night fell with stories under stars, Sarah's wild coasts, Mom's hospital hugs, the wedding's watershed. Mateo led a circle, passing a talking stick carved with vines. To crashes that build bridges, he said, eyes on Ivy. Her turn came last, voice steady. Love didn't just heal us, it humanized us. From silence to symphony, we're the proof. Truth wins, always. As embers glowed, Lena's hand found hers, weathered but warm. Our hook, she whispered, still the strongest. Ivy nodded, kissing her temple. And the ending? Open, infinite. In the hush of pines, with echoes of laughter fading to cricket song, Ivy gazed at the tapestry they'd woven, from a rain-lashed rejection to a lifetime of radiant yes. The greatest drama, she knew, was love's quiet triumph, not in grand gestures, but in the human heart's capacity to choose again, every dawn, to love wholly, fiercely, true.